already. I've got to redo all my videos for my children, people in my life. My daughter, let me get some light on out here. With all my kids, it was important to me that I told all of them that I would always tell them the truth, that I wouldn't lie to them. The reason for that is because I truly believe that the most important thing in any relationship, whether it is husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, parent, child, I think the most important thing is honesty, because when you're not honest and you lie, then the trust gets broken. And if the trust is broken, then, what good's a father if their child can't trust him because he lies to them? I know with me, if I don't trust somebody, they're useless to me. Absolutely useless to me. So I just made it a point to never lie to my children. And my daughter, she called me the other day because she knew that I had a doctor's appointment and she wanted to see what the doctor said and everything. And I told her the truth. And she started crying. She was pretty upset. She started getting mad at the doctors. And I explained to her that there's only so much the doctors can do. And that, our choices have consequences. And in my life, unfortunately, her father made some bad choices. And I told her, there's nothing the doctors can do. There's nothing they can do. And I reminded her that if it wasn't for the doctors, I'd be dead right now. That bilateral pulmonary embolism would have killed me. The only reason I'm alive is because of the technology the doctors have. Enough to go up through my leg into my lung and get part of that blood clot out, and by the good graces of Jesus Christ. But that's the only reason I'm still here. And, I told her I did not take care of myself with all the drugs and cigarettes and everything else, but it broke my heart hearing her cry. She's my only baby girl, my one daughter. I have 3 sons, and I have 1 daughter. And So I figure I need to get these videos done. And first one I'm going to do is for you, Tiffany Rose. When you were born, I was not good with women at all, to say the least. I was very rough on women. I did not have a good teacher, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse, because excuses are just cop-outs. I didn't treat women very well. I didn't treat them very respectfully. Your mother, Amy, that's the only woman that I could think of that I've ever been faithful to. Unless maybe the woman figured out I was crazy real quick and broke up with me before I could cheat on her. But Amy, I've been 100% faithful to her. That's a fact. But when you came into the world, it just, the whole way I looked at women changed. All of a sudden, every woman was somebody else's daughter. It's like I say all the time, people don't seem to care about shit unless it affects them. Once I had a daughter, I started looking at women different. I started thinking, would I want my daughter treated this way? And if the answer is no, then that's probably not the way you should treat a woman. And from the day you were born, from the very minute that you came into this world, I was in prison when you were born. Your mother was a few months pregnant with you when I went in. And I remember the first time they brought you up to see me in prison. First time I held you. Those visits suck though, but that's another story, because it just sucks watching your family walk and go through them slamming doors and you can't go with them. But from the moment you were born, you had me wrapped around your finger. I can remember when I got out, I think it was Easter, I went to buy you a dress for Easter. And oh my God, I didn't know where to start. I was just thinking how big you were, and holding them up and looking at them, thinking, is she gonna fit in this? Is she gonna fit in this? And me and your biological mother, we were broke up by then. But I can remember people just staring at me in the store. Like, what's this fucking scary looking motherfucker doing? Looking at these dresses. And I ended up saying, for my fucking daughter, motherfucker. You know, one dude was looking at me. But, yeah, you had your father wrapped around your finger since the day you were born. And I know that's probably going to be hard for you to believe. And problems because I wanted to protect you from running into a guy and getting with a guy like I used to be. You know, at least when me and Amy were raising you guys, you got to see a man and a woman that loved each other. You didn't have to watch me beating on her all the time and shit. But I was overly protective of you. You were like Rapunzel up in your tower because, like I said, I didn't want somebody like I used to be anywhere near you. And like your grandmother said many, many times, out of all your children, your daughter is the most like her father. And you are. You are the most like your father. And what did you do? You did what your father would do. You rebelled against that shit. You saw the boys getting to do things you didn't get to do. And you rebelled against that. And I was wrong for being as protective as I was. Another thing I was wrong for, and fathers, don't do this, don't make the same mistake as me. When you have a daughter, don't say, if a boy does this, I'm gonna woo, 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 woo. Because what happens is, your daughter might need to come to you someday and talk to you. But when you say things like that, she might be afraid to because she's afraid she's going to lose her father. Because I'm honest with my children, my daughter knew I was in prison. And they have seen me get into it a couple times with people, but it's not good to tell your daughter that because someday she might need to come to you, but she might be afraid to because she don't want her dad going crazy and losing her father. That was not very wise of me. And I was wrong for being overly protective. But please know that I was that way because I loved you. And the last thing I wanted, I'm happy you're with this guy that you're with now. It's the first man you've been with. This is not a man child. This is a man. He's up at 4:30 every morning. He's out the door. He doesn't put his hands on women. He's a good man. His mom and dad did a good job raising him. And I don't know if a father ever feels happy about his little girl being with anybody, but I'm as happy as I can be with Dustin. He's a good man. He's a hard-working man. He's a gentle giant. I know he will protect you, and I know that he's not going to put hands on you. So, whatever happens with you two, he definitely has my blessing. It gives me a lot of peace knowing you're finally with a guy doing what the fuck he's supposed to do. And he's a man's man. But yeah, we had 2 years of just war with you running away and stuff. And I never told you this before. At least I don't think I have. I remember the first night, and I'm not going to even say his name, but I remember the first night he walked in the house. I looked at Amy and I said, oh, no. You said, we're going to go in my room. I said, leave the door open. You went in the room. And Amy, she's saying, just give him a chance. Give him a chance. I said, I don't want to. And he was walking right by the door and I threw that knife. I didn't know he was going to go by the door, though. And that knife stuck right in the door jamb by his head. And I said, I missed. And he went back up in the room. I did not like him from the gate. And the reason I didn't like him is because I saw trouble. I saw a young Mark is what I saw. And that's something I was right about. But because I was so overly protective, you started running away. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail. You know the whole story. But the night that we got you back, I followed that man, his father, 2 days in his work van when he would get on the highway to get his pattern down and see how he went to work. And it's only by the grace of God that the police called that night, because I had plans for that man the next day. But whenever cops called, we went up there. I was not a happy camper, and I went for him, and the cops got in between us. And the one cop, he turned around, he told him, he said, I don't normally do this, but I have seen this man's record, because I'm red flagged in every computer in the country. Every police car, red flag pops up because of the gang affiliation in prison and everything. But the cop told him, he said, you need to find somebody else for your daughter to date. This is not going to end well. And thank God that little punk went elsewhere, because I still got that motherfucker in my dreams. Still got him in my dreams. I remember one time I told you, I said, you being with him is like breeding a thoroughbred with a fucking donkey. I just did not like him any way, shape, or form. But I almost lost you in all that. You started running pretty wild like I did when I was younger in rebellion. But I have to say, sweetheart, I am so very proud of you. I truly am, for the recovery you've made. You pulled out of that nosedive you were in, and you were nosediving hard. You are a wonderful mother. Wonderful mother. And one thing I can say about my daughter, you are not a whore. When you're with a guy, you're with just that guy. Your taste in men, until you met Dustin here, has not been too good, but you are an exemplary mother. It's been you raising those 3 kids pretty much by yourself. I had my wife and my mom's help when I needed it, raising you and your 3 brothers. You pretty much have done it on your own until recently, because God knows baby daddies ain't been helping you do shit. They're men, child. They're not men. And I'm saying all this where my grandchildren don't see this video. This is just for you. Maybe their fathers will grow up. It took me a long time, but I'm not happy with neither one of them boys. And the other one, he don't ever want to put a what if in my head, because the last time somebody put what if in my head was that guy that threatened to kill you guys and Amy out there in Arizona. And you know what happened to that fool. And that, when stuff was going on with little Nora, I don't like when I get a what if in my mind. Like, if I don't do something, something bad could happen. He don't ever want me to get to where I got that what if in my brain. Because at this point, I don't got much to lose. But I am so very proud of you. You struggle with a lot of things I struggle with. And I'm not going to go into detail on all that. But those struggles make the world a lot harder than it is for other people. And I'm proud of you. You are tough as nails. Tough as nails. Out of all my kids, pound for pound, you're probably the fucking toughest. I'm not talking fighting and stuff. I'm talking about internal grit. Just bear down, take the pain, toughness. You're spunky. That one time you come home and I found out you weren't telling me the truth about something, I took that belt to you. I had to leave. I was foaming at the mouth. I was scared to death I was going to hurt you. But you kept jumping up and getting on your tippy toes to go nose to nose with me when I'm in a rage. And the last time you took a step stool and slammed it down right in front of me and stood up on it so you could look eye to eye, go nose to nose with me. And that's when I said I gotta leave. Because if I'd have stayed, I was afraid I was going to hurt you. And I'm not going to go into detail when all that was over. That's our business. That's between nobody else. But I was pissed. But you have recovered nicely. When I started that nosedive that you were in, Rosie, when I started diving, I didn't pull back out. Start pulling back on the stick to come out of that dive until right around the time I got out of prison. I always say, and you can ask anybody that knew me, and see, the problem is the family don't really know me. 15 and a half, I started getting locked up in places, or I was running away myself, and my family don't really know me. You ask your Uncle Nate, you ask those people that know me, and they'll tell you, you guys haven't seen your father at your worst, thank God. And I'm not bragging on that, because I'm not proud of that. But I always say, and I'll say it till the day I die, God Almighty softened my heart in prison. And in his infinite wisdom, he sent Amy to teach me how to love again. Because up until that point, I had become very cold, no mercy, very hard-hearted, very selfish, and just mean as hell. I was at war with the world and everything in it. When I come back here, your Uncle Nate told me he was glad I went to Arizona. I said, how can you say that to me, man? I missed you guys. He said, Mark, you were so evil. I didn't think I'd keep running with you anymore. Evil is what he said. And I say, evil, Nate? And he goes, you don't remember, bro? I have been told some things since I've been back that I did when I was younger that I have completely forgotten about. And evil's a pretty good word to sum it up. I was out there. But me and your mother, once I got out to Arizona, me and your mom, we raised you, me and Amy. I had a lot of help from my mother when I needed it. I knew that safety net was always there. And Mom helped big time before we went to Arizona because I was not doing what a man was supposed to be doing. Arizona was good for us. It was real good for us out there. I always tell people it was spiritual for me out there. The person I was, the one they called Crazy Horse out on the streets, that person died in Arizona. That person became a family man. He became a father and he became a husband. Brian and Dwayne, couple brothers of mine, they got a sister named Cindy. Cindy's like you. She has no filter, no censor on her mouth. If she thinks something, she says it, and she don't give a fuck what you think about it. And when I got back, we got invited to Dwayne's and Nicole's wedding. And his sister Cindy come up to me and your mom at the wedding, and she said, Mark Volkerding, I used to hate your fucking guts. I used to tell Brian and Dwayne, why do you hang out with that motherfucker? She goes, but you have turned into a good man and a good father and a good husband. And that's probably one of the biggest comments I've had since I've been home. Because I know when Cindy, she says what she means. But I was taken aback by it. I said, Cindy, what are you talking about? And she said, you chased a guy through my house shooting at him with a gun. And I'm like, there's no way I would do that. Not that I wouldn't do that, but I wouldn't do that to one of my brother's sisters. But then, as I'm thinking about it, a time came back where that happened. And I ended up calling Cindy up. I said, Cindy, in my defense, yeah, I think I did do that. But I didn't know that was your house, and I didn't. I'd have put the brakes on before I disrespected a brother like that. But that's how out there I was. But out there in Arizona, I know there was a time I got a hold of that guy that threatened to kill you guys and your mom. And I won't apologize for that. A man's biggest responsibilities are two things: to provide for and to protect his family. And when the guy said what he said, and I heard it with my own ears, he put that what if in my head. What if? And that's what got him messed up, is that what if, if he does what he says he's going to do, can I live with that? Knowing that he did it, that he said that, and I didn't do nothing, and immediately, was I wanting to jack my life up and get sent to prison and everything else? No. But I thought in my mind, I had a snake in the house and I needed to cut its head off. And thank God your Uncle Gary showed up that night and he talked me down. Because I wasn't thinking, I was reacting. But you have had me wrapped around your finger since the day you were born. We had those problems when I was being overly protective and when you ran away. But I have always loved you. I have always loved all of my children very much. And when you guys do good, I tell you, you do good. Because I would have given anything just one time in my life to hear my father say, I'm proud of you. I always heard when I fucked up, but never did I ever hear, hey, I'm proud of you, son. And I asked my brother Josh one time, your Uncle Josh, I said, what do you think's harder? Doing right your whole life, or being as far lost as I was, and as out there as I was, and finding your way back? And he said, most definitely, being where you were and coming back from that. And I got a lot of things to really regret. It sucks. If you and your brothers do nothing else and you hear nothing else I say, hear this and listen to me good. If I could tell you to, if I tell all you guys anything, the one thing I would tell you is make no mistake about it. There is a God. There is a God. And what happens in this world means nothing. It's the blink of an eye, and it's ashes and dust. Most of us, unless, we did something remarkable where we're in the history books, will be forgotten as soon as our grandchildren die and close their eyes. There is a God. And there is something after this. So develop a relationship with Christ. Root your children in Christ. Because this is just a blink of an eye, but afterwards is for eternity. Have a relationship with God. Talk to Him daily. You're never going to be perfect. And you started life at a disadvantage. You're my daughter. You're like me. You're an angel with no halo and one wing in the fire, But I promise you, I don't lie to you. I never lied to none of you. Even when it embarrassed me and I was ashamed, I told the truth. Because I wanted my children to be able to trust me. So trust me when I say, there is a God. Anybody tells you anything different, they're lying to you. I know there's a God like I know my own name. Because when I was saved, it was such a very powerful experience that it left no doubt in my mind that there's a God. And only a God could take my heart as hard as it was and soften it, Tiffany. You have no idea the way I was, and I'm glad you don't. I'm glad you don't know. You've seen my temper, but you haven't seen me when I didn't have a heart. Once I accepted God and Christ, I got a heart. But before that, I'm glad you don't know me then. I'm glad you couldn't see what I was like then. There is a God. That's one thing that I would tell you. The other thing I would tell you and your brothers is make every second of every day count. My health is bad. Your health is not bad. Nathan's isn't bad. Seth's, Joshua's. But that don't mean you're guaranteed tomorrow. We could die any day, any one of us. So make sure you live your life so that when you do die, you're prepared to be judged and to meet Christ. And make sure that you don't have a bunch of regrets. Because it's a shitty feeling looking back on your life and realizing realizing you wasted most of it. And that time's running out. It sucks. It hurts. It hurts bad. But Rosie, if I could go back and change all that in time, I wouldn't do it. If I went back and changed things and I got that angry young kid, that hurt, angry young kid, to do right and deal with it positively, the chain of events would not have happened where I met Monica, where you came into existence, where Seth came into existence. It would have changed my whole life. And yeah, maybe I could have bypassed a lot of pain. A lot of pain. My body hurts all the time. My body's been beat to hell. My mind hurts all the time. So you got to live every day like it's your last, sweetheart. And know that your father is so, so very proud of you. I had a friend that, she lives down in Mexico City, Audrey. And she was a pretty new Christian, and she's got just this big soft heart. And she was really upset about my health and everything. And I did a video. It was one of the best videos I did. It was saying, don't be sad for me. Because if I would have died a while back, no doubt in my mind, I would be burning in hell. God gave me a shot across the bow to try to get ready. I'm not perfect still. I'm never going to be. He gave me a chance, though. And most of my friends didn't have that. Most of my friends were in the ground by the time they were 35 years old. But I am so proud of you, Tiffany Rose. You grew up fast. And you didn't let the hurt and pain destroy you like I did. I hope things work out with you and Dustin, because I do believe he's a good man with a good heart. But I want you to do what is best for Tiffany and those children. But if the time comes, Dustin most definitely has my blessing. And you guys don't need to be rushing that neither. Because I have found in my life that God Almighty has quite the sense of humor. So don't be rushing things because you feel like you have to, or I won't be there for your wedding. Because I will be there for your wedding whether I'm alive or dead. If God allows it, I will be there. And I don't lie to you. But don't rush into things just because you think time's short for me to be at your wedding. And know that I love you. I made a lot of mistakes as a father, and I've apologized for the mistakes I've made. It's another thing, you're lucky to have a father that at least whenever I'm wrong, I'll admit it, and I apologize. I've never heard my father say he was sorry. I've never heard my father apologize. He comes from a time where if you're the parent, that automatically makes you right. And that's not the way I see it. Just because you're the parent doesn't mean you have all the answers. And that Dr. Spock or whatever wrote some child book fuck Dr. Spock. Every child is a little bit different. It's like Jane yelling at Paxton saying, "Why can't you be like your brother Wyatt?" I was like, oh my God, that poor kid. He can't be like Wyatt because he's Paxton. He's a totally different human being. But I wish you could feel in my heart and know how much I have always loved you, your brothers, and Amy. I wasn't perfect, but I always made it a point to be a part of your lives and to be there. And through it all, I loved every one of you every step of the way. And that's the God's honest truth. But you had me wrapped around your finger. When I come down on you, it wasn't like when I come down on the boys. You were my one, my only daughter. You were this thing that I had to protect and keep safe. And you carried your grandma Rose's name. I wish you could have met her. Your grandma Sheila loved Grandma Rose very much. It's funny, the women in the family, your grandma, my mother, Grandma Rose, they were the backbones. And when they left this world, some of the magic was gone. But if you live your life right, you do right, you develop a relationship with Christ, you'll see her again someday. And when I die, hopefully I could live another. I had this voice in my head, Rosie, saying, you know, Mark, you hurt every fucking day. You might as well just get back on them pills. It would numb your mind. It would get rid of the anxiety and the fear that you feel. It would help with the physical pain that you're feeling all the time. And then I thought, I know this voice. This voice isn't from God, because every time I listen to this voice, shit never works out right. And what'll happen is I'll start taking pills again, and I'll live another 10 years, 15 years strung out on dope. No, I don't listen to that voice no more. But I love you very much. And it's like I always say about my childhood. I had every right to be hurt, every right to be angry. But it was my choice to deal with it the way I did. And what's left of me is the outcome of that choice. So I can't put that on my dad and Jane. I can't put it on the doctors, because I chose to deal with the hurt and the pain the way I did. So far, you've been dealing with your hurts and your pains differently, and I'm proud of you for that. When we turn to drugs and alcohol and rage against the world, we just continue to be victims, except for now we're hurting ourselves. The way you become a survivor, sweetheart, is you succeed in life and you make something wonderful out of your life. It's my wish that you and Dustin have a lifetime of happiness and memories and good things. But if you ever feel that's not what you're supposed to do, don't stay for me. And don't jump into it for me neither. All I want for you and Seth and Nathan and Joshua is to develop a relationship with Christ and to be happy and at peace. That's all I want. But I love you very much, Tiffany Rose. And I know you're still not over your grandma passing. Neither am I. I never will be. My mother knew me better than I ever dreamed she did. And not a day goes by I do not miss her. I miss her all the time. All the time I miss her. But that's okay. Because death is a part of life. And I know that there's something that comes after this. And I'll see her again. I just want you to be happy. And I want you to know how very proud I am of you. You kind of got the thing like I did when I was a kid. You know, people want to jump to conclusions. Oh, Tiffany, da-da-da-da-da. I cut them off all the time. And I tell people how proud I am of you and how good you're doing and how you are holding shit down. I raised 4. You're raising 3 right now. But I had your mother right by my side, and you got Dustin now, but most of the time, it was Rosie. I remember one time you called and you were just distraught. Everything was falling apart. You were scared. And I told you, I said, Tiffany, in life, you've got 2 choices. Stand up and fight. And do what you got to do. Nothing in life's easy. Nothing in life's fair. You got 2 choices. Stand up and fight or lay down and die. That's it. Because at the end of the day, the only person you can truly depend on is God Almighty and yourself. And your grandmother always taught you to make sure you have your own job, you're making your own money. That way if shit gets bad, you don't have to depend on anybody. And I've seen you go out and make it on your own. And raising 3 kids, especially nowadays, it is a struggle. But you have fought that fight good. And I'm so proud of you for that and many other reasons. I tell people all the time, my daughter's beautiful. And not just because she's my daughter. I used to think you looked like Monica. You look like your grandmother. I got a picture of both of you about 3 years old, and oh my God. It's like looking at twins. I had your picture hanging up in the wall in the living room. I can't remember who it was come by. It was a friend of mine. And he had this other guy with him. And that other guy looks at the picture and he says, oh my God, who is that? And I went in to get him a soda, both of them a soda in the kitchen. And I heard my friend tell him, shut the fuck up, that's his daughter, dude, he'll kill you. And I just kind of laughed in there. It was not easy raising a girl for me. Forgive me for the things I did wrong. But please know that through it all, there was nothing but love in my heart for you, Rosie. And when my time does come, don't use that as an excuse to fall apart, sweetheart. Keep fighting like you've been. Because that's the only choice that makes sense. Because lying down and dying don't make sense. If it made sense, I would have been gone a long time ago. Your grandmother, God rest her soul, she fought till the end like a tiger. And that's what I'm trying to do. I hope when my time comes, I can die as bravely as my mother. But don't be sad for me. I know you're going to be sad. You can't ask somebody not to be sad because we're going to feel what we feel. But lean on Dustin. Keep in touch with Amy. Lean on her. She's going to need to lean on you. And know that your father loves you more than you will ever know. The one night, it's like you were wanting me to tell Dustin something, and Tiffany, you said, you're not saying nothing good about me. Sweetheart, there are so many good things I can say about you. And I do say good things about you all the time. I don't lie to you. I've always told you the truth. And every time I get off the phone with you, I say, I love you and I'm proud of you. And I'm not going to tell you I'm proud of you if I'm not. You know me. You're just like me. You'll say what the fuck you think and feel, and if somebody don't like it, tough shit. That's the way you think and feel. And I'm the same way. That one night, that was so fucking funny. I was out with Nate, and you called, and this Dean guy from high school, he wanted to play Jonesing with me. That's where you cut each other down and shit. It's me, your Uncle Nate, and 3 other black guys there. Dean's white, and I ain't seen him since maybe a year or 2 out of high school. He comes walking up, and of all things he could say to me, he says, let me see your wrist. I said, what the fuck you want to see my wrist for? He says, I was in the Air Force. I was a medic. I did medical. I turned my wrist over. He looked at it. He goes, do you know you're black? You got an extra tendon. Number 1, that's bullshit. There ain't no extra tendon. Number 2, I thought it was a pretty stupid fucking thing to say, you know? What does black got to do with anything? And why are you saying I got black in me? What's it got to do with anything? Why are you even bringing up black and white? Because me and Nate don't talk like that. We just see a human being. That's the way my mother, your grandmother, raised us. But, so, I started jonesing on him like I was a black guy in the county and he was some white dude. I was calling him a pink-ass motherfucker. And I said, what do you think the baddest shark in the ocean is, Dean? He goes, probably the great white shark. And I said, from now on, you little pink-ass bitch, it's the average Caucasian, or the average Caucasian shark to you. And I was just all over him, man. And he goes, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to take a piss. I said, there ain't nowhere for you to squat here, princess. I said, you better remember to wipe front to back. And this one dude, Curtis goes, damn, man. He just said, you got a pussy. And I went around on the side of the trailer to take a piss, and Nate come up, your Uncle Nate, and he goes, Mark. I go, what? He goes, dude, stop. He's scared to death. I said, what do you mean he's scared to death? Nate goes, he thinks you're serious, man. I go, I ain't like that no more, Nate. And he goes, I know that, but he don't know that. So whenever I got done pissing, I went and I told him, I said, dude, I'm just fucking with you, Dino. And we were all laughing, cutting up. And me and Nate were giving him a ride to his house, and you called. And we're laughing, and you go, what are you on? I said, I'm not on nothing. You said, does Mom know where you are? And I said, Tiffany Rose, your mother always knows where I am. And about that time, Dean, he goes, who is that? And I said, it's my daughter. he goes, can I talk to her? I said, you want to talk to her? He said, yeah. And he goes, hi. And you go, who's this? And he goes, I'm Dean. And that's all he got out. I guess he was going to say, I knew your dad a long time ago or something. But he goes, I'm Dean. And then you go, I don't give a fuck. Put my dad or my Uncle Nate on the fucking phone. So I looked at him and his eyes kind of got big. And he goes, I go, you still want to talk to her? And he just handed the phone up front. And then I put my ear to the phone. I said, Rosie, you go, I'm calling Mom. And you hung up on me and called and told Amy, do you know where your husband is? And she told you, yeah, he's out with Nate. But yeah, you should have seen the look on Dean's face. It cracks me up. Because you cuss worse than I do sometimes. Fucking fuckity fucking fuck. But I love you, sweetheart, and I'm very proud of you. And you have come a long way in a short time. And I'm sorry for all the things I didn't do perfect, but there was always love in my heart for you. And there always will be. And try to control that temper. That's like you tell me you're going to go to the casino for the weekend with Dustin, and you said, you know, I've been, do I got any advice? And I said, yeah. Best odds in the house, Blackjack 21, live deal. Not the machines, live deal, 3-deck. And I told you, don't reach over the line. And I told you once in a while, tip the dealer. Wet his beak a little bit. You go to the casino, come back, and how'd it go to the casino? Did you win anything? No, not my daughter. My daughter accuses the dealer of cheating, takes a swing at him, and then takes a swing at security guards when they come. I said, tip the waiter, not hit, or tip the dealer, not hit the dealer, Tiffany. But like your grandma said many times, and even on her deathbed, your daughter's the most like you, and you most definitely are. But I love you, sweetheart. And all you can do is laugh. That's all you can do. Because we don't got much control over anything else in this world. I used to think I could control things. The only thing I can control is myself, and that's only sometimes. Sometimes I can't even control myself. But just do your best and know your Father loves you very much. Now I gotta cut this lock off the door because I lost my key to the garage door. I want to be able to ride my bike. But I love you, Rosie.